your smartphone is secretly a professional-grade cinematic tool, hiding just behind a few simple menus. Today, we're going to change the way you shoot forever. So, this brings us to a massive question, one that honestly stops a lot of aspiring creators and everyday photographers right in their tracks. Do you really need a DSLR? I mean, it's so easy to look at breathtaking, cinematic content online and just assume the creator spent thousands of dollars on heavy, complicated camera bodies and massive lenses. But what if I told you that assumption is largely a myth? The gap between expensive, professional gear and the smartphone in your pocket is closing incredibly fast, provided you know exactly which hidden settings to flip. And honestly, the magic number here is exactly 5. There are literally just 5 hidden toggles standing between your current, everyday photos and professional-tier cinematic footage. You don't need a degree in filmography, and you definitely don't need to read some massive manual. You just need to follow along as we unlock these 5 specific features.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, framing like a pro. Then, maximizing hidden quality, controlling focus and light. And finally, creating cinematic depth.
Section 1. Framing like a pro and setting the foundation. Look, before we even touch heavy technical data or resolution, we've got to talk about composition. Because honestly, even the best camera in the world is going to produce terrible footage if the framing is off. Let's start with something called the rule of thirds. Just imagine your screen divided into 9 equal squares by 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines. It's like a giant tic-tac-toe board. The rule of thirds basically dictates that you should place your subject, the most important part of your image, along these lines, or right at the exact points where they intersect. Doing this creates immediate natural balance and visual interest that simply putting your subject dead center rarely achieves. And the best part? You don't have to guess where these invisible lines are. You can actually just make them visible. Simply open up your phone's Settings app, scroll down, tap on Camera, and then toggle Grid to the On position. It is incredibly simple, but turning this one setting on gives you a permanent transparent overlay on your screen to guide your eye every single time you open the camera app. The visual difference here is completely striking. Think about a boring, unframed photo. The subject is awkwardly placed, the horizon is slanted, and the whole image just feels flat. But then, by utilizing that rule of thirds grid and aligning the subject with those intersecting points, the shot looks instantly more professional. The horizon is perfectly level with the grid lines, the visual weight is perfectly balanced, drawing your eye naturally right through the frame.
Moving on to Section 2, maximizing hidden quality to unlock that raw horsepower.
All right, now it's time to unlock the true hidden horsepower of your device. If you're rocking a Pro model, Apple ProRAW and ProRes are absolute game changers. Basically, these are high-quality formats that capture uncompressed data. When you take a standard photo, your phone instantly compresses the image, throwing away a massive amount of data just to save storage space. But ProRAW for photos and ProRes for videos basically tell your phone's sensor to capture and keep absolutely everything. Every shadow, every highlight, every subtle shift in color. This leaves you with a massive file that is perfectly primed for professional-level editing. To actually unleash this capability, the navigation is super straightforward. Step 1, head back into your settings. Step 2, select Camera. Step 3, dive into Formats. And Step 4, just toggle on Apple ProRAW for your photos and ProRes for your videos. Now, quick warning, these files are large, but if you're shooting something important that you really want to look incredible, this is the switch you absolutely need to flip. So what's the actual payoff here? Well, enabling these formats gives you insane details that would normally just get smoothed over by auto-processing. You get vastly better, way more accurate colors because the uncompressed file holds a much wider color gamut. And ultimately, you achieve professional editing quality. If you want to color grade your footage later to look moody, cinematic, or incredibly vibrant, you need that raw data to stretch and mold. But we really can't talk about quality without talking about resolution and frame rate. Think about 1080p default quality versus 4K at 60 frames per second. Crazy enough, most people are completely unaware that their phone is just defaulting to 1080p to save space. They're unknowingly crippling their own footage. 4K offers literally 4 times the resolution of 1080p, and bumping the frame rate to 60 FPS means you are capturing twice as many frames every single second. That results in stunningly smooth, lifelike motion. So let's fix that default right now. Step 1, Settings. Step 2, Camera. Step 3, select Record Video. And Step 4, switch that default checkmark over to 4K at 60 FPS. Going forward, every single time you hit record,
You are capturing ultra-high definition, hyper-smooth footage that looks incredible whether you're panning across a gorgeous landscape or capturing fast-moving action.
To sum up this whole quality section, the ultimate takeaway is literally this. By simply turning on your Pro formats and boosting your resolution, your videos will instantly look sharper, smoother, and just more premium. It requires zero extra effort while you're actually shooting, but the underlying data you capture is remarkably superior.
Section 3. Controlling focus and light using active professional techniques. Okay, so we're transitioning from settings you just toggle once and forget to active techniques you actually use while setting up a shot. The big one here? AE/AF lock. This stands for auto exposure and autofocus lock. Have you ever been recording a video and suddenly the background gets totally blown out and super bright, or the focus aggressively pulses in and out trying to find your subject? That happens because the camera is constantly trying to guess what it should be looking at. AE/AF lock tells your camera to stop guessing. It locks the brightness and the sharpness exactly where you want them, giving you continuous, rock-solid stability.
Applying this in practice is so easy. Step 1. Open your camera and line up the shot. Step 2. Tap and hold your finger on the screen directly over your subject. Step 3. Just hold it there for a couple of seconds until you see a little yellow banner pop up that says AE/AF lock. Once that banner is visible, you can pan the camera, people can walk right through the frame, and your lighting and focus will beautifully, stubbornly remain exactly as you set them.
Guys, the difference is night and day. Shifting auto settings, they just feel kinda jarring and amateur. Like every time the light changes even slightly, the whole video flickers as the phone tries to compensate. But contrast that with the smooth, stable, cinematic vibe of an AE/AF locked clip. The lighting is absolutely consistent, the mood is perfectly preserved, and the focus is razor sharp on your intended subject. Honestly, this one technique alone separates amateur smartphone footage from pro-level work.
And finally, Section 4. Creating cinematic depth, the DSLR blur.
All right, now we're gonna mimic the actual hardware capabilities of those massive, expensive camera lenses. To do this, we really need to master portrait mode correctly. A lot of people use it, sure, but very few use it to its full potential. Step 1, swipe over to portrait mode in your camera app. Step 2, ensure you have good natural lighting, because software blur really struggles in the dark. Step 3, step away slightly. The phone's lenses actually need physical distance to accurately map depth. And step 4, here is the pro tip. Tap directly on the subject's eyes to focus. By doing this, the software flawlessly keeps the eyes perfectly sharp while wrapping everything behind them in a really soft cinematic blur.
The visual transformation here is completely undeniable. Think about a standard flat photo. It captures the subject, yeah, but it also captures every single distracting detail in the background perfectly sharp. It just feels like a quick snapshot, right? But a well-done portrait mode shot, the subject literally pops. The background melts away into beautiful, soft points of light, often called bokeh. It immediately commands your attention and just looks distinctively expensive.
So the absolutely crucial point we want to leave you with today is this. Try these hidden settings before you go out and buy an expensive DSLR. Seriously, turn on your grid, switch over to those uncompressed formats, crank that video up to 4K 60 FPS, lock your focus, and master portrait mode. You have an incredible amount of cinematic power sitting right there in your pocket. Master the tool you already own, and I promise you, you'll be shocked at the professional results you can create. We have covered a lot of ground in this explainer, but as we wrap up, I want to throw this question back to you. Which of these settings surprised you the most? Was it realizing the sheer power of ProRAW, or maybe just how wildly effective locking your exposure can be? Take these techniques, start experimenting today, and see that real cinematic difference for yourself.